What's up, everybody?
Hey, everybody.
What's going on? It is Thursday. So when you see our face on a Thursday, you know it's time for another episode of Inside the Relationship. Now, we're going to ask you to do this now. We're going
What
to
I'm
ask you to do
doing.
it again after the intro plays, and that is to simply hit the share button.
Yeah.
Click the share button and share it to your network. Wherever you're watching this right now, hit the share button, share it to your network. All right.
Yes.
Listen, we got a great guest.
Yes.
We have a great question of the week. We got a
Mhm.
very crazy, in my opinion, media mix down. So without further ado, we're not
Here
even
we
going to
go.
talk too long because we want to get to our guest as soon as possible. So listen, get ready for another episode of Inside the Relationship. Let's go.
Let's go.
You're watching Inside the Relationship with Denise and Ollie.
So sit back, relax, and let's talk about all things relationships. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Listen,
We are ready.
first things first, if you're watching now, or even if you're watching the replay, we need you to click the share button. That's
Share
our
it.
only ask.
Yes.
Click the share button, engage, let us know where you're at in the comments, and engage with us in this show. We have a great show planned for you. We have a phenomenal guest. Listen, if
One
you
of our
missed last
favorites.
week's show, you missed PJ and Gladys Gillum. You
Mhm.
got to go back and watch that one. I'm not even going to say what they talked about. You just got to, wherever you're watching this now, go find that episode. Today is no different.
No different.
Listen,
One
man,
of our favorites.
I'm telling you, this is a good guest. Matter of fact,
Clapping already.
just get your pen and paper,
Yeah.
your electronic note taking device, your note on your phone, whatever it is,
You're gonna get
because
some
you're gonna
nuggets.
get something out of this one today.
Absolutely.
Just like last week as well. So listen, if you don't know who we are, I'm Oliver.
I'm Denise.
We are Denali. We're passionate about seeing relationships thrive. We are authors, speakers, and coaches in that space. Matter of fact, I wrote a book entitled oh, I thought you were about to say something. I wrote a book entitled Overcoming the Man Laws for the Man Who Wants to Be His Best Despite What He Was Taught. So if you haven't already put that in your library, that's one you probably need to have in your library. We are also authors of Have a Conversation, Couples Journal.
Mhm.
If that's not something you have in your possession, you also need to get that as well. Both are either on our website or on Amazon, or you can DM us for more information on that as well. Also, those of you who hang out with us, you know that on Saturday nights, we do Have a Conversation After Dark, which is a show about everything.
Everything.
There is no subject that is off limits, and we dig in and have some great conversations with the goal to have you have conversations as well. All right.
Yep.
We got a couple things we'll talk about at the end, but we want to get into this show as soon as possible so we can get up to our guests. So, with that being said, we're going to go into this media mixdown. This is crazy to me. I don't know if it's staged, whatever, but let's just say it's not staged. I'm going to play this video first, and then we're going to talk about it. All right.
Okay.
So
All
let's
right.
get into the media mixdown.
Ooh.
No.
Here, let me fix it for you.
Why would you do that? What if I took that and I cut your hair off?
I told you I didn't like your beard.
Why would you do that? I told you. Oh my gosh, I told you it's not funny. If I took that and cut your hair,
Better not.
it would be abuse or something. But you do it to me and it's fine. You keep doing all this crap to me. This is my beard.
Wow.
You know there's something very important to me. This was the
It'll grow
surprise.
back.
Babe, it took me 2 years. Babe, I am shaking right now. I can't believe you did that. If I did it to you, it would be all messed up. It would be
You
mean,
hear it?
right? But you do it to me, and it's fine.
Your beard will grow back. It looks better without it.
No. It's not funny. Yeah,
Well, you might as well finish it. No.
Okay. So, yeah. So
Wow.
I don't know right now what I would do in that situation. I'm gonna be honest. Were this 25 years ago, it it would it would not end properly. That's all I'm gonna say. Because I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm a hitter. I'm not gonna say none of that because I don't want to kind of put myself out there and say what I don't know. But I'm gonna tell you the person that I was 25 years ago would not have handled it how he handled it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying what would happen or if anything would happen to her. I'm not even going to go there. But I know me 25 years ago wouldn't be able to handle that properly.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, I'm like, it's not even for me that it's just a beard because it is just a beard.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it just, if this is for real, it just the whole thing speaks to the level of disrespect.
There you go. That's
in
the
my
key word.
opinion.
That's the key word. It is incredible disrespect.
It is. It's incredible disrespect, and her reaction to his reaction.
Mm-hmm.
She's laughing. She's
Right.
saying, I told you I ain't like it. Well, you might as well go ahead and cut it all off now. Like,
Right.
total disrespect.
And here's what's crazy, right? He says to her, if I would have done that to you, and she's like, you better not.
Exactly. And I don't know if you heard him say this. You keep doing this kind of stuff.
Right.
To
So this
me.
ain't the first time that something like that has happened.
Yeah.
So clearly she don't respect him at all.
She doesn't. And that's
so the comments are, of course, it's TikTok. So, the comments are just wild.
That to me, that just speaks to the level of disrespect that she has for him.
Yeah.
And granted, like I said, it is just a beard, but I think that her action behind that and his response to what she did, even though yes, it's hair, it's a beard, it can grow back. It took him 2 years, and clearly it's something that he likes.
It's important to him.
And it's important to him. Doesn't matter if it's not important to me. If it's important to you and to me, I feel like that's ridiculous. It's frivolous. If I feel like it's just a beard, even though it's important to you, then it's important to me. And it should be important to me.
And so that's a level of maturity. We were talking about this a couple of days ago. That's a level of maturity that couples have to get to. But let me say this though. Let me ask this. What if there is something that you don't like? Let's say there's something you don't like about me, my appearance, something, right? Something you would prefer that I change or switch or adjust or whatever. What is the right way to go about it? Because this is obviously not the right way. To just take a pair of clippers and cut a chunk out of this dude's beard is madness.
To me, the right way to go about it is to talk to you about it. I see that you really love your beard. Do you know what I really love about you? When your face is clean shaven, it just feels so smooth. I love how it feels, and it just endears me more to you. It makes me want to cuddle you more. I don't like necessarily I don't even know if I would say I don't like, but I would probably say stuff like, I prefer the clean shaven look because I like how smooth your skin is. I like that I'm able to get closer to you and put my face on your face. It just, it feels more comfortable to me and makes me want to be closer to you. Yeah. I prefer the cleaner look on you, even though I feel like you're handsome anyway. That's
Yeah, the conversation has to be had, and I like that approach. I think we may have to pose this to, ironically, our guest is a conflict resolution guru, so we may have to pose that. But I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna move on to the question of the week. What you cannot do is disrespect your spouse.
Yeah. It goes further than, and to me, this is how you know that
Mhm.
she's being disrespectful. One, because she did what she did.
Mhm.
Two, because of her comments.
Right. The comments, the laughing. She don't care.
That just goes to show me that she's not thinking beyond it's just a beard.
Right.
She's not thinking beyond that.
Yeah. So
And
listen.
that's disappointing.
Yeah. Madness.
Disappointing.
I'm trying to tell you. So here's a question I have for those of you who are watching the replay. You can put your comments in at your leisure. I would love to know, if your spouse were to do something like that to you, how would you react?
And
that's what I want to know.
I saw a video the other day. I should have told you about it because I don't even know. It was on social media, but I don't know what. Where the husband or boyfriend, I don't know which, had locks, and they were long. They were like down to here. He had them up in a ponytail, and the wife or the girlfriend came and shaved some off. She did like that. And he, freaked out and looked in the mirror and was like, "Oh my goodness, why would you do that? What are you doing? Why did you do that?" And she said something to the effect of, "I told you, I warned you that if you kept doing XYZ, that I was going to do that. And I told you." Again,
listen,
the level of disrespect.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not
That's
disrespect
not the
your
way
spouse.
to go about.
That's not the way to go about it.
Getting your point across.
And listen, I'm going to say something that's going to be very controversial right now. And I know it's going to be, but I do mean it. I am not a proponent for violence. Let's make that clear.
No, don't say anything.
No. Listen. This is true, though. This, I believe this must be said. I'm not a proponent of violence. But if you do something ridiculous,
walk away.
You set yourself up. Now, again, I'm not saying that you should be violent. That's not what I'm saying. I love the way this dude handled this. You who are jumping in and out, what we're talking about is that this woman shaves a chunk out of her husband's beard because she don't like his beard. I love how he handled it. I do. And even at one point in the video, he was like, "I'm shaking."
Yeah, he did say that.
And he took it like a champ. Even in the shaking, because you know what that means. When you start shaking and sweating and crying, like something, anger is welling up in you, right?
You're angry.
I love how he did it. All I'm saying is, don't set yourself up for the creation of a scenario that is unnecessary. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not, again, I'm not a proponent for that, but
I don't like that.
You don't like that?
No.
Why?
Because, even though I understand what you're saying, and I understand that you're saying sometimes people are pushed to that point.
And that's all I'm saying. Don't push your spouse. One, you should not be disrespecting your spouse to that level. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, you should not be provoking your spouse. Like the Bible talks about not provoking your kids to anger. Yeah. But that applies to everybody. Like don't do something that you know is so heinous that
in your spouse's eyes.
Right. Don't do that. That's all I'm saying. Stay away from that, because that has the potential to cause things that can get way out of hand. And what's the point of doing that when you could do what you did and have a conversation? That's the point I'm making.
And then here's the other part. And then if you have that conversation and nothing changes, and we're talking about stuff like beard or no beard preference, we're not talking about emotional needs.
Okay.
Right? But if you do that, or at least I'm not with this point I'm about to make, if you do that and nothing changes, then I have to sit and think and just say to myself, okay, it's his beard. I love this man more than whether or not he is
Right.
wearing a beard. You know, you got to really sit and think, am I really going to continue to make a big deal out of this?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you just got to pick and choose what it is you're going to live with. Because you're not going to love everything about your spouse all of the time.
I agree.
And this is just one of those things where I'm just like, okay, you know, I've told him what I prefer, but what I'm going to do, leave him? No, I'm not.
Yeah,
So
there's other ways to handle it. Definitely.
Yeah.
What's up, John? I agree, man. He said, what up, fam? I
What's
don't
up,
believe
John?
anything I see online, but if that is real, it's a major violation. I agree.
Agree.
And I felt like it was staged too.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say why I felt like it was staged, but I felt like it was staged. But I also was like, okay, this is something good to talk about, because I'm not going to call any names or say anything. But when I was in college, I remember a buddy of mine, his girl did something real reckless. I mean, really reckless. And it cost this dude hundreds and hundreds of dollars to fix.
Yeah. Disrespectful.
Maybe thousands.
Disrespectful.
Just because she was angry. And all I'm saying is, you don't got to go there.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. You don't got to go there. So that's the media mix down, folks. If you got any comments about that, go ahead and put them in the comments. We would love to hear what you have to say. Also, if you have something that you saw on social media and you want us to give our opinion on it, go ahead and DM us wherever you're watching this, or you can email us at the email on your screen.
Yeah, we'll chop it up. We'll take a stab at it.
We'll take a stab at it. We'll let you know what we think about it. All right. So listen, let's get into the question of the week. Here we go.
Question of the week. Here's a question of the week. How do we get back to feeling connected when it seems like we're just coexisting?
Good question.
Good question. And that happens often.
That does happen often. Listen, life gets in the way. Sometimes things happen and we just find ourselves coasting, surviving the day. And then that turns into surviving the week, and that turns into surviving the month.
Just
and before you know it,
day after day
you're
after
in this
day.
routine, right?
I think that it's important to, when you get to the point where you ask this question, that means you're thinking about it, which is a good thing, because then think about it some more and be like, okay, what changed? When did it change? What is not happening now that was happening in the beginning? And how can we reincorporate that? And often it's because you now have small children and you didn't before.
Yeah, there is a factor.
There is a factor,
contributing factor.
You know, so what you have to do in the case of, if it's small children, for example, you may not be able to go back to the beginning and recreate it exactly as it was, obviously, because now you have children, but you have to find the pockets. Like Glad was saying last week, you have the time, but you have to find the time.
Yeah.
So my advice would be to go back to the beginning and take a look at what changed. What's different? What are you not doing now that you were doing before that made you feel connected?
Yeah. I would say this, just to add to that connection, be mindful of the fact that connection does not have to look a certain way. And I think sometimes many of us, we shy away from, I'll use myself as an example, right? Just to illustrate this. I am the type of person, and I'm guilty of this, that I will skip over a date night because I can't do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's a bad thing. I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
If I can't spend the money that I want to spend, if I can't go to the restaurant I want to go to, if I can't go to the show that I want to go to, I don't do nothing. We end up sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. It doesn't have to look like that. You don't have to spend money. You don't have to have mind-blowing 65-minute sex. Like, there's things that you can do.
Wow.
That
65 minutes.
Stay focused.
That threw me off. 65 minutes.
There's things that you can do that allow you to connect to each other. We talk about experiential intimacy all the time, and how that could be as simple as cooking a meal together.
You got to eat.
That could be you
got
got
to
to eat.
make dinner.
That could be as simple as, hey, listen, man, we got 10 minutes before this next meeting. Let's just go lay in the bed and cuddle. Let's go talk, or let's go sit outside on the back porch, or let's whatever. Like, there are ways that you can do that. And the more you do that, the more of these instances you have to string together that can help keep you connected when the times aren't really that, you don't got that much time to do it.
More challenging. Yeah.
So,
and two, I think it's important to say that often we look to, like the question says, how do we get back to feeling connected? Often we try to go back to how things were and recreate that,
right.
which is a great thing if you can do that. But sometimes you have to create something else.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe you have to create a different way to connect for the season of life that you're in right now.
Yeah.
You know, we can't, hop in the car and, spend the night at a hotel, for example, to stay connected. But we do have 2 hours here at home where we can,
steal away,
candlelight or whatever. Or we do have an hour to watch our favorite show together. You have to create something new sometimes because your season that you're in changes.
Here's the last thing I'll say about that, and then we got to get to our guest, is this. Don't wing it. Have a conversation. You should know what allows your spouse to feel connected.
Yeah.
And vice versa. And then we say this all the time in our group coaching. The more knowledge and information you have, the more you have to leverage.
Yeah.
So if you know what helps your spouse feel connected, your spouse may tell you, hey, listen, all I need on these busy days from you is a text message. All I need on these busy days from you is a phone call. And you might be thinking, oh, I got to get roses and perfume and this and that. And all you got to do is call, right? So have a conversation and gain the knowledge, learn about your spouse so you know what it is that allows them to feel the level of connection that they need, so that they don't feel like they're coexisting. And boom, you off to the races. You got something to do.
Last thing, I know we got to move on. Sometimes all it takes is a conversation, because I might be feeling like I don't feel connected, but you might be feeling like, okay, everything's fine. Ain't nobody complaining over there. So let me keep it moving. Sometimes all it takes is a conversation for me to be like, babe, you know what? I'm just not feeling as connected as we were. And for you to be like, wow, I thought we were good. I know things have changed, but I thought you were okay. I didn't realize that you felt that way. I'm sorry. Let's talk about it. What do you need from me?
Yeah.
You know?
There are very few times, and I'm only saying very few because you might be able to come up with one. I can't think of one right now, but there are very few times where a conversation is not warranted.
Yeah.
Have a conversation. You know, we say that all the time. Like, those are the 3 words we've probably said 3 million times in the last 10 years. So have a conversation. Yeah. So hopefully that helps out for the question of the week. Again, like the media mix down, if you have a question you want us to tackle, you know what to do. You can DM us wherever you are watching this, or you can email us at the email that is on your screen right now.
Yeah.
John said kids, having children, especially
when you're older.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Has me rethinking all of my social engagement when we were small, child free. Yep. When we didn't have little ones, I was so disrespectful with free time.
Yeah.
It's true, though. It's true.
You don't recognize it until afterwards.
I was going to say, we come to that realization. It happens all the time.
Yep. But listen, there's time to redo. There's time to turn around. There's time to readjust, you know what I'm saying? And just
recalibrate.
Yep. Look for those opportunities. They might be smaller pockets in this season right now.
Yeah.
But you know, what you're doing is
making smaller deposits.
You're making smaller deposits,
but
right?
It will still add up.
So you can either say, I can't buy the pearl necklace right now, so I ain't gonna do nothing. Or you could put one pearl on a string every day until you got a dope necklace. Right. So and I prefer the latter. So that's a good way to look at it. Thank you for that comment, John. Listen, we got a guest coming up, right, for our marriage minute. Listen, Laura Gethers is top notch. I'm gonna let her introduce herself and what she does, but I'm gonna do like I did with PJ and Glad last week. I'm gonna make up a bio. Okay, so I didn't ask her for a bio, so I'm just gonna freestyle. It's gonna all be true, but I'm a freestyle, right? So we have Laura Gethers coming of Love Harder Marriage Coaching. You're gonna find out how to get in touch with her. Listen, for those of you who are in the Baltimore area, she will be at Miracle City Church on November 9th. So if you're in the Baltimore, Washington, Virginia area, you're going to need to come and be in the spot with us to have her here. But listen.
Is she frozen?
Laura is, well, we'll see when I bring her up.
Okay.
Laura is, like we said earlier, Laura is the conflict resolution management guru.
Yes, indeed.
All things conflict management. Laura is able to teach this in a way that is so easy to grasp and so eye-opening and so freeing, and allowing individuals to leave feeling so much more confident about their approach to this. Laura is phenomenal in the way she teaches.
Sure is.
And we're gonna, without further ado, let me get my applause together. We're gonna bring up Laura Gethers as our guest for the Marriage Minute after we actually introduce the Marriage Minute. So here we go.
Yay.
What's happening, Laura? So
What's up, sis?
We can hear you, but but you're frozen for some reason. Your picture's frozen. We can hear you though. So we'll talk to the frozen picture. Oh, she went out.
How's that?
It's a little better.
You're not frozen anymore, but say something. Let me make sure I can hear you.
Hello.
Yep, I can hear you.
We can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a little pixely.
There's a little delay on the video, but it's all good. As long as we can hear you, we're gonna make it work.
We'll make it work.
Okay. Can we talk about that first scenario?
We can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Just and then we can get into whatever you want to talk about.
Yes.
But oh my goodness,
on that.
Whether it was staged or not, that was my mouth hit the floor.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That is so disrespectful.
Yes.
To a human being, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nevertheless, your spouse.
Right.
Yeah.
Agree.
I understand that they say the two became one, but that's my body.
Right.
You don't get to violate my body. You don't get the opportunity to do something like that to me.
Yeah.
Especially if you say you love, like, I can't trust you. I don't know what you might do next.
Right.
Yeah. Unacceptable.
Like, everything was violated. I mean, my mouth literally hit the floor.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So let me do this. I have a question for you on that. But first of all, let the folks know who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into this.
So I am who Oliver and Denise said I am. I am Laura Gethers, the founder of Love Harder Marriage Coaching, where we equip couples with the tools they need so their relationship can succeed. I definitely enjoy the conflict resolution aspect of what I do. It is my favorite thing to do. So I'm so excited to be here with you all tonight to talk about it.
I love it.
And we are excited as well.
We're glad
Very
to have
much
you
so.
here as well. I think this question, although it is in reference to the media mixdown, I think will take us into the conversation where we want to go. How do you manage that level of conflict?
I would immediately call a timeout. How he was even able to say a word to her. Yeah. That's a lot of self-control.
Yeah, I took my hat off to the brother.
That's
a lot of self-control.
Like, a part of me was like, this has to be staged, because there's no way someone violates you to that degree.
Yeah.
Right.
And you were able to respond without throwing a fist.
That much.
Right. And that's why I said, Laura, that's why I said what I said. It wasn't that I was a proponent of violence. It's just that you're walking on a very thin ice when you violate somebody like that.
Yeah. And before y'all go turning that into a challenge, because they got these crazy challenges out there.
Yes.
Recognize that number one, that may be staged, and number two, not
Mhm.
everyone has that amount of self-discipline or self-control.
Right.
Exactly.
That's right.
That is
We
my point.
need to make sure that you are beware.
Yeah,
Mm,
that is my point.
Beware.
Exactly.
Not everyone has reached that level of self-control.
They have
Yeah.
not. They have not. And again, even when he was like, "Man, I'm shaking," at
Yeah.
that point, I was like, "Oh, this might go left," and
Yeah.
it still didn't.
mm,
It still didn't. So that's interesting. But that does take us into the conversation that we wanted to have around couples who find themselves in consistent conflict.
Mhm.
Right? How do we begin to now turn that around? Because it's such a detriment
mhm.
to the quality of the marital life when you find yourself in consistent conflict.
Yes.
And there's way more to unpack than the time we have. I know that already,
Mhm.
but how do we at least begin to right the ship, so to speak?
Mhm.
Yeah. How do we start a new cycle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first thing is understanding that you are in a cycle.
Hmm.
And I think that's why I am a big proponent of journaling and being mindful of when things happen. A lot of things happen around the same time every year because they aren't addressed.
Yeah.
And there could be some things that are leading up to that, whether it's you're getting close to an anniversary or
Mhm.
close to the anniversary of someone who you love, their death. Normally when I deal with couples, there is something that leads up to it every single year. Those who are constantly dealing with reoccurring issues, there's something that is constantly leading up to that event that has not been communicated. They definitely have to have a conversation and understand, wait a minute, we went through this last year and maybe the year before that.
Mhm.
And the issue isn't going away. Most of the time, the issue is getting worse. So before it was something small, and now because you didn't deal with it, now you're adding on to it. And so
Yeah.
tempers are rising quicker. You're not talking about it at all. You're
Right.
disengaged with one another. And if you are engaged, it is very blunt, I should say.
Yeah.
Right? You're not really connecting with your partner because this issue, the elephant, is taking up a lot more space and you can't even breathe now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we have to first, I say, this is an issue. Because if you don't say it's an issue, you're not going to address it. You're going to address your partner's behavior, right?
Mm.
So the first thing we have to do is identify what the issue is.
Okay.
Yeah.
After we have identified the issue, we have to admit that we don't have the tools to deal with it, because if so, it would have been dealt with.
Clearly, yes, because it's happening. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't have the tools. We don't have the tools.
Right.
Mhm.
And if we do have them, they may need to be sharpened. And that's when I say you call in a referee.
Yeah.
You call in someone who is going to sit down, hear you out, and then help you put together a plan where you can move past this issue. Well, number one, deal with it and then move past it so that you don't have to face it again. And that referee can be a counselor, it can be a coach, it can be a mediator, it can be whoever you need it to be based off whatever that issue is, so that you can move forward. Because we have to admit that there's an issue and admit that we don't have the tools to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. So
That's
identify the issue
Mhm.
and then admit that we don't have the tools. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Because a
good.
lot of people think, oh, we can fix it or we can just do this. And most of the time, you can't just do anything.
Right.
It's labor intensive.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's why you've ignored it for so long.
Yes.
It's interesting too, right?
Mm.
As simplistic as that statement was, it's so true, and so many of us miss it. Like, if we could have done it, we would have done it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So clearly, we're missing something here,
Yeah.
right? And we need somebody to help us figure out what that is. So
Mhm.
I love that, because many of us are not doing well in the conflict resolution department because we are attempting to address the same or dress the same wound with the stuff that didn't work the last time we tried to dress the wound.
Yes.
Right. So we're doing these things. We're not making any adjustments. We're not pivoting in any way.
Mm.
And then we're wondering why we are in consistent conflict.
Yeah. I like that you said too that it's labor intensive. Often we are afraid of that hard work, I feel
True.
like. And we're like, oh, I've never done this before. I don't want to do this. This is gonna it's
Mhm.
gonna hurt too much. It's gonna bring up some stuff that I'm
Mhm.
necessarily might not want to deal with right now.
Right.
It's gonna take too long. You know, my spouse might not love me the same anymore. You
Mm,
know, all that
mhm.
kind of stuff.
Yeah. There's some fear and apprehension there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of the fear and apprehension, right? Because sometimes there is a fear of what's on the other side of this.
Mhm.
Um, how do we navigate that fear?
Thank you. Thank you for asking that question. I want to take one quick step back.
Mhm.
Okay.
A lot of the fear that I see is if I do all this work and I don't get the result, it wouldn't be worth it.
Worth it.
Right.
Mm.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I say it's always worth it, whether you get the result that you want or not, because you're going to grow
Yes.
as an individual. You're going to get a skill set that you didn't have before. You're
Right.
going to learn something about your spouse that you didn't know before.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So just because the outcome that you expect doesn't happen doesn't mean some sort of change, some sort of progression didn't happen inside of you and inside of them.
Yes.
You may
That's a
have
great
to
point.
repeat that cycle again, the good cycle, until you get all of the goodness out of it, right?
Yeah.
You are willing to repeat the previous cycle over and over and over. Can
Mhm.
you do the work and dig a little bit deeper? Can you do the work and go a little bit further? So
Right.
don't get defeated because you think it didn't work the first time. You will learn and you will grow as you continue to make that investment. But
Mm.
just like with anything, I say you need to learn to do things afraid.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Do it scared. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it scared.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I agree.
That's good.
There is probably no other area in your life where if you want something good to happen, you don't push aside that fear and move forward.
It's very true.
And it's the same thing for your relationship. Like we learn how to handle conflict
Mhm.
when we need to, when you want to keep your job, when you
better
want to
believe that.
impress your pastor, when
Yes.
you want to maintain a friendship, you learn how to deal with conflict.
Yeah. You figure that out.
You figure it out.
Mhm.
I
And
love
that's the
that you
same
said.
thing I would tell you in your relationship.
Yeah.
You keep working until you figure it out.
Yeah.
And that timetable, no one can tell you what that's going to look like. You don't know what you're going to have to unpack.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah. That's really good. I
So
love that
good.
because we also make the mistake of wanting the microwave solution
Mhm.
and not resolving in our mind that this is a process
Mhm.
Yes.
and that progress may not be as quick
Mhm.
paced as you think it is, but
Mm.
that's not a reason for you to give up.
Yeah.
Yes.
You may have to take one step at a time as opposed to 25 steps at a time. You may have to walk or even crawl as opposed to sprint, right? So
Yeah.
and I love that. And that is really recognizing that and accepting that, I think is a huge step towards the consistency that's necessary for you to get to resolution.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I like using the boxing analogy when we talk about conflict because when you look at really, really good boxers, they are so strategic. They go into the boxing ring understanding their opponent. And in marriage, the opponent is the issue. It's not your partner. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not your spouse.
Yeah.
And so they understand who their opponent is and they study their opponent. They study how they maneuver.
Mhm.
And then if they get in the middle of the fight and their opponent does something different or the response is different than what they expected, what do? They have coaches in the corner
Mhm.
They are coming up with another plan
Yeah.
immediately, right?
Immediately.
Yeah.
If they get injured, there's a cut man right there, ready to patch them up, right?
Mhm.
And we have to take on that same mindset when we go into battle with the issues, when we go to fight against the issues.
Yeah.
You know, we are thinking that this is going to happen, but wait a minute. Something else is arising because we haven't got to the root, right?
Right.
Something else is arising. So now we got to pivot and we have to learn how to address this.
Mhm.
And we have got to become more flexible when it comes to dealing with each other. We have
Wow.
got to become more flexible.
Yeah.
A
Wow.
lot of times I hear people say, well, we were talking about one thing and then the next thing I know, another issue got brought up, because that may be the root issue.
Yeah.
And you can't get so fixated on what you brought to the table to discuss being the only thing that you discuss that you miss the opportunity to get to the root of it.
Wow.
And we have become so rigid.
Yeah. Wow. That's so good.
Couples have
'Cause we
become
see it
so
all the time.
rigid.
Yeah.
I'm like, get flexible. Y'all need to stretch more. You need to understand that this is going to be a process. It's not a one time, let's come sit, have this conversation, and then let's be done with it. No, that's the beginning of it. And you continue to work through the layers of it until it is resolved. And once again, there is no timetable.
Right.
You might think that it's going to be 5 rounds and it could end up being 20. But guess what? In the end, if you don't quit, you end up victorious with a better, stronger relationship with your spouse,
Yeah.
better understanding of each other, more love and compassion and grace for one another.
Mhm.
And the rewards are endless when you come into it, recognizing that you don't know everything that you're about to face, but as long as you are facing it together and not facing each other and attacking one another,
Yeah.
Right.
you will end up stronger at the end. In the end.
That's
That's good.
great. That's great.
That's good. Listen, you know we could keep you, but we're not going to, because we know you have another engagement, very, very important engagement, right, knocking at the door. And so let's do this before we let you go. Please let folks know how they can get in touch with you. I'm gonna put your website up on the screen, but you can talk about how people can get in touch with you. Let folk know if you're taking clients and the whole nine.
Mhm.
Yes. So you can find me on Facebook or Instagram at Love Harder Marriage Coaching. I want to see you in Baltimore, November the 9th. That's where I would prefer to see you face to face with your spouse, coming to go through those 5 rounds of conflict resolution with us. Reach
Come
out
on.
to Denise and Oliver to
Yes.
make sure that happens, to get more information. And
Mhm.
also you can go to my website, and if you want to book a session or have me come in to do an event, go ahead and fill out the form and I will gladly come. But before I go, I do want to say this.
Mhm.
For all of you who are watching or will watch, don't take for granted the information that you are getting here with Denise and Oliver.
Mm.
I say it all the time. I think y'all are 2 of the best to do it.
Thank
Wow.
you.
And that's why I
Means a
always
lot.
want to keep y'all in front of my audience. I think y'all are amazing. I think your heart for what you're doing is in the right place. And the content that you put out, if people really consumed it, took it in, and then followed up with you, I think that relationships will be in a healthier state. It breaks my heart to see so many couples being defeated
Yeah.
in their relationships because they won't accept the proper help. A reel is not going to give you enough information to last or to build a strong relationship. I don't care about the funny videos. Your relationship has an opportunity to leave a legacy of love. Look, Denise, I'm looking at your shirt. It says committed.
Yeah.
And we can't just be committed to one another. We have to be committed to the process of growing through the different seasons together. And Denise and Oliver have put out so much good content. They have so many great resources to help you grow. And I really, 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 I'm pleading with you all to take your relationship serious enough to invest in it.
Amen.
Okay?
Thank you,
Wow.
Laura.
Man, that means a lot,
That
Laura.
means a whole
Thank
lot.
you.
Serious.
Thank you. You are a blessing to the space
Yes.
in so many ways, and it is it's a privilege to be shoulder to shoulder with folks like you who
Yes,
are as
indeed.
passionate as you are to see relationships thrive. So thank you for those words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
We receive those.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Love y'all.
Love you
Man,
right back.
love you too, man. Listen,
Mhm.
you guys got to get with Laura Gethers. The website is on the screen. Go find her on social media. Matter of fact, if you go to her website, you can get to her social media from the website.
Yeah.
Please make sure you're connecting with her. Again, those of you who are in the Baltimore, Washington, Virginia area, November 9th, she
Don't
is
miss
going to
it.
be our guest at Miracle City Church. She is coming to bring all the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So, and all you got to do is show up,
Mm-hmm.
which that doesn't often happen. And you're gonna be able to eat. Where they do that at?
Nowhere.
I mean, like, so listen, make sure if you're in, and if you want some more information about that, if you're not already on the mailing list for the Miracle City Marriage Ministry, but you want to be a part of it, all you got to do is shoot us a DM, and we'll make sure that you're in the place there. Laura, thank you so much. Listen,
Thank
we're
you,
gonna let
Laura.
you go. We know you got a family engagement that is happening right now, so we're gonna let you go and join that.
Thank you.
Enjoy your evening, and thank you again. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming.
Take
All right.
care.
You
Take
too.
care.
Bye-bye.
That was Laura Gethers. We told you.
The one and only.
We told you it was going to be good stuff. So
Yes.
listen, if you missed any of that, go back. And I know we didn't have the best video for that, but you heard every
You
word
heard
that she
it, and
said,
that was all that was needed.
and that's all that was necessary.
Yeah.
And so, if you want to get with her, make sure you get on her website. And I can't reiterate this enough. She's going to be in person.
She's phenomenal.
So if you anywhere near Baltimore, Maryland, you should probably be connecting with us to see how you can be in this space on November 9th to hang out with Laura. She has a very, very unique and gifted way.
Yeah.
To,
I promise you.
Yeah.
You have not.
It's not anything you've seen.
Anything.
Yeah, it's not
like this. The way that she.
Yeah.
The way that she presents conflict resolution or conflict management. I promise you, you haven't seen anything like this.
And I know people say that because it sounds real hype and it sounds very marketing. It's very marketing ease.
You haven't.
But this is the real deal. And that's why I didn't say much about her style, especially for those of you who are going to be in the house. You can go look at her videos and you'll understand what we mean.
Yeah.
It is a very unique but powerful way to learn the fundamentals of conflict management.
Yeah.
So make sure you're connecting with her. Listen, let's go ahead and end this show, but not before we do the last word.
What's the last word?
So here's the last word. Last word is simply this: take responsibility for your part.
Oof.
That's it. I'd like to expound on it, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Take responsibility for your part.
So instead of saying, well, if you didn't do XYZ, then I wouldn't have had to do XYZ.
Exactly.
Take responsibility instead.
Take responsibility for your part. Now, a wonderful way to take responsibility for your part is to grow into the type of person that shows up the same everywhere. Because if you are concerning yourself with being a person of integrity, if you're concerning yourself with being a person where fidelity is important to you, if you're concerning yourself with developing into the kind of person who looks at the needs of someone else and prioritizes them in a way that allows you to serve them in that way, if you're just showing up like that all the time, it's going to be easy for you to take responsibility for your part.
Right.
So there's some growth that may have to take place. There is some learning that may have to take place. There's some development that may have to take place. But at the end of the day, what you're trying to get to a space The space you're trying to get to is a space where you can own your part, where you can take responsibility for what you contribute
Yep.
or what you did not contribute,
Mm.
and the consequences or results of either of those.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the last word.
That's good.
Very
babe.
simple. That's the last
good.
word.
That's good.
Take responsibility for your
Very
part.
good.
All right. Listen, man, we are so grateful that you were a part of this show. You got to hear Laura Gethers. We told you that that was going to be impactful, and it was.
And it was.
We're grateful to her. Listen, before we get out of here, you know we're going to plug our group coaching experience because we have another cohort coming up. If you or a couple you know is interested in communicating on an extraordinary level, recognizing, managing, and recovering from conflict in record time, and building a holistic, intimate bond, this is the space that you want to find yourself in, right?
Yes, indeed.
So if you're not following us on social media, make sure you're following us on social media so that you can see the announcements for the cohort dates. We have another cohort that is coming up very soon. All right.
Last one for the year, probably.
Probably the last one for the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably the last one for the year because it is a 6-week group experience.
Mhm.
All right. Listen, thank you for being here. You know how to get a hold of us. You either following us on social media, you can DM us, or you can send us an email. We are coaches, speakers, and authors. If you are interested in bringing in speakers to speak to your audience, feel free to send us an email. If you are looking for coaching that is going to push you to some level of transformation, and you desire that and anticipate what life will be like when you receive that, then you need to contact us so that we can come alongside you for that leg of your journey. You can also email us for that as well. All right. So we appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Please enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
Indeed.
And have a phenomenal weekend. Those of you who hang out with us on Saturday night, we'll be there on Saturday night for Have a Conversation After Dark, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another great conversation. All right. Now, with that said, blessings on you, family.
Have a great evening.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.